Hi, everyone. I'm here again. I've learned now with this new Facebook live system, when you push go live, it takes a while. You know that circle when you're trying to look something up on your computer, or you're in that little circle, it's usually red and yellow and blue or whatever. They have kind of one like that here. You wait and wait, and then finally it goes to 3, 2, 1, which I'm pretty used to that in my life. Aha, Barb Zaz, I think you are the first person on, or at least you're the first person to say hi to me. So hi to you in Cincinnati. Um, Cincinnati holds a special place for us because that's where our twins were born, because that's where my surrogate lived, Deborah Bolig, now Deborah Terrell. Hi, Laura, calling from out there in California. Donna Lynn from South Jersey. Beth Belot. Hey, Beth, I did my 20s this morning. I've gotten in the habit of doing those arms, legs, abs every morning before I get into the shower. Yes, usually naked. That gives me motivation to go out and run in the afternoon. Um, and Joanne, you're saying hi from Daytona Beach Shores. Ooh, it must be nice down there. I talked to my husband yesterday and he was saying, why don't you do this, this, and this? And I said, you don't have the right to ask me to do those things because you're in the pool. And we're on FaceTime and I see you and you're wet. And I see the waterfall coming down from the jacuzzi. So, but they're in a good place and he's there with Max. And I'm just really happy because Max is diabetic and type 1 diabetic. So I want him to be safe from this virus. And they're in kind of like a little, I don't know, la la land, like a little bubble down there, I feel like. Bluebell, Pennsylvania, Sharon, otherwise Cricket, hi. And so cold and windy in Maine. Beth, I'll bet it is. Robin Henson from Maryland, Maggie Roth here with us from Winter Springs, Florida. Christine Kraling. Hey, Christine, you're down in the Lehigh area, down there in Easton, Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to being on your podcast coming up soon. Jeanette Persons, who's off with us a lot from Lisbon, North Dakota. My mom was from North Dakota. Beverly, is it Watucky? I think I'm saying it right, from Michigan. Oh, I've been hearing that it's really cold there, isn't it? Beth Vitali Malik. Thanks, Beth, joining us all the time from Naperville, Illinois. Sandy Champ coming to us from Maryland. Tony Galati coming to us from Lamont, Illinois. Marty Cullum from Pennsylvania. Hey, this is great. Margie, you're saying hi from Chicago. And Darlene Grandy from Newfoundland, Canada. And hi, Beth, Vitali. Where's Amir? Some of you thought that Amir was like actually here, like getting me ready. Like, are you kidding? I haven't seen him since the book came out March 10th. I did the Today Show that day. The next day, he got me ready for Kelly and Ryan. We did a book party that night. And it was like the Last Supper. It was we were all hunkered down after that. So I haven't seen him since then. Thus, my hair is growing out. But is he in New York City? No, I think he's at his house upstate or out in the Hamptons. Ramon, hi, how you doing? You're from the Philippines, and you join us all the time from the Philippines. That's so cool. Thank you. Phyllis, is he cutting your hair? When we all are allowed outside our houses again, he said to me yesterday, I checked in with him before I had him on live, and he said, your hair's now in another style. It's the style I used to do on you, but it is going to need to get shaped. I said, I know. I still have these like little tiny, these little tiny short ones. But remember, I had my hair sticking straight up, that like kind of the like pink warm hair. And they're just, I don't know, they're taking their sweet time growing out. I'm glad you're safe. Thanks, Sandy Jeanette. From Davidson, North Carolina, Barbara Johnson. Hey, Vincent, good to have you back with us. From Nebraska, Connie Gildersleeve. Stunningly hot, as always. Where are you from, Chris? Oh, you mean me? Thank you, Chris. You give such good compliments. I see a hair sticking up. That's the only problem with being on this. You see everything wrong. From Asheville, North Carolina, Linda Thomas, how you doing? You're with us all the time, and I really appreciate it. All right, so I should tell you. Well, it's what? It's Thursday, April 23rd. I'm going to tell you right now. Today's World Book Day, so we're going to chat with my publisher, such a great guy. And we want to talk about books, and I want to talk about what some of my favorites are. We'll find out what his recommendations are about and what's happening to books that are coming out right now. But an author can't go on a tour. You can't go to a bookstore. It's going to maybe change everyone's buying habit of books. So people are going to get used to doing them. Here's Anne Sewell. I love your pink look. All right, but that look was a look that I loved it too, but people either loved it or they hated it. When I go back to this, I don't like the idea that I'm always being safer, but this is the safer look. But anyway, we're going to be talking to Jonathan Merkh, fantastic guy. I love reading. I love books. Did you like my post that we should officially add an 8th day of the week that is totally just for reading? And if you're not into reading, you could do puzzles all day, whatever you want to do. But I would read. That's the number one thing on my retirement bucket list when that day comes. But anyway, I've been booking some really cool guests. And I talked to some of them yesterday. So I'm going to have Michael Bolton on here tomorrow. I think you guys will be excited for that. And Michael's a great guy. His first appearance on national TV, I think, was with me, 1991. He was just coming out with Time, Love, and Tenderness, and that was, of course, his breakout chart-topping album. And I remember one time, and I got involved with his charity group. He came to me. He said, "I want to do this thing for women. I want to help protect women and children from abuse, physical abuse, and everything." He'll tell you about it tomorrow. And he said, "Would you help me?" And we've just kind of gotten to know each other by him being on GMA and then me going to his concerts. And so I've worked with him for the last, I don't know, now 21, 22 years or so on Michael Bolton Charities. And he always used to say to me, my life gets in the way of my life. Like I can't settle down with someone because I'm not going to be here next week because I'm going to be in wherever I'm going to be in the world on my tour. He's just a workaholic. He really is. He loves his passion, singing and entertaining. So I said, "Wow, how are you doing on this mandatory shutdown?" He said, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. He said, "I've never taken a week off. I've been off for 5 weeks." And at the end of the conversation, he said, "I will always be indebted to you for everything that you've worked on with me. So I'll do your show." He said, "But do you mean that it's on at 1 p.m., like in the afternoon, like right after lunchtime?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I haven't really changed my schedule. I still go to bed at 5, as in a.m." I said, "All right, but you're not out performing. There's no after party. There's no everybody going to, I know what that routine is like, but you're just home." And he said, "I know, but I still go to bed at 5. So I'm not usually up at 1, but I owe you. So I'm going to get up at 1. I said, "All right, I'm calling your assistant to make sure that somebody gets you up at 1. I don't trust you're going to hear your phone go off and do it." So anyway, Michael Bolton will be here tomorrow. And he's an awesome guy and love his music. And we've done a lot of things together. So I want to tell you about them. Also next week, all you people who've been asking for Charlie Gibson, he's going to be on. I called him the other day. We had a little catch-up call. And he said, "Of course, whatever you want me to do, of course, I'll come on." So he's going to be with us on Tuesday. Mark your calendar. So we'll have a whole lot of GMA talk. And my personal assistant from decades, we won't say how many decades, Elise is going to be on Wednesday. She's going to tell you I think she said the 5 things people don't know about Joan Lunden. Should I be worried? Lisa Gibbons, my good friend Lisa Gibbons, and just one of the nicest people in the entire world. She's going to be on with us on Friday. But today, it's National Book Day. Oh, well, God. That's certainly a moment for a shameless plug, isn't it? I could do this. This is my show. So, why did I come into this room? A candid conversation about aging. And what is this right now for the next 2 weeks? The perfect Mother's Day gift. Go online, order it, and then cross that off your things to do list. Don't you love the feeling you get when you cross things? Do you guys still make regular lists? I have to admit, I put a lot of things in my phone, but I'm still a little bit of an addict about that to-do list. And I keep changing things, and things that don't get marked off go on my new to-do list. All right, so books. This is World Book Day. I love books. I am what you would call an avid, voracious reader. And I didn't get to read books like I read now when I was working at Good Morning America, because there was reams of research to read. I was more a magazine reader, and I was one of those annoying magazine readers that every time I sit next to somebody on an airplane, you'd hear and I had these piles. And then I'd say after a while, if I haven't read that pile yet, that's ridiculous to keep. Then I discovered Pinterest. Whoa. I discovered Pinterest. And now everything I see, I can always mark it over. I can always go online, go to that article. Because I switched a lot of my magazines over to my phone so that I can read them when I'm sitting in the dentist's office waiting around, or I can read my books. I'm really lucky because I've met a lot of authors. I've wormed my way into meeting them on Twitter or something. I met Harlan Coben on Twitter. Matthew Betley, I think I also met him on Twitter when I tweeted about how great his book was, and maybe it was on Facebook, I don't know. And then he came back to me just like Harlan and said, is this the real Joan Lunden? So it's been fun. And what's really fun, first of all, it's fun because they're great people and all that. And it's also fun because they send me their galleys of their books. So I get to read their books way in advance. So I just feel so special. But I'm going to tell you about a lot of my favorite books. So get ready, okay? Because I want you guys telling me back. I want you to tell me what your favorite books are. So let me tell you about Jonathan, though. I enjoy writing books as well. I love writing books. And okay, Susan Perrett, I thank you for answering all of my silly questions. She feels like she's gotten to know me. I always like to just every now and then look over and see what you guys are saying. I love writing books, except I love the idea that people have them in their homes, that they have them out by the pool or on a walk or whatever, and they're laughing and learning and maybe being inspired or at least entertained. But I've never really loved the publishing part of it, the part that you guys don't really see, going over the manuscripts, turning them in, working with an editor, having an editor come and fix your sentence structure, which you can accept or not accept. And sometimes it's fun to write Gunna, Gonna. An editor will change that, but then it's up to me. And sometimes that takes the fun and the humor out of it if you change it to what it should be. And on this last book, I worked with an excellent editor, and I also worked with this comedian who, sometimes when I'd say, there's a joke here, I just know there is, but I trying to find it, and she would help me sometimes. So I had this great comedian, a little foul-mouthed, and this fantastic prim and proper. I said I felt like I had the angel and the devil on my shoulder, and the devil would say, go ahead, Joan, say that. It's fine. Nobody can get you in trouble for it. And then I had the angel saying, oh, no, you really shouldn't say that. You're Joan Lunden. Who do you think won more often? Huh? If you've read my book, who do you think won more often? So anyway, today's World Book Day. And I didn't enjoy the publishing process until I met Jonathan Merkh. He's such a great guy, so incredibly knowledgeable. He's been in the publishing business for 25 years. more than 25 years at this point. He's worked in all the different areas, marketing and sales and agenting and distribution with the giants of the industry. For many, many years, he worked at Simon & Schuster for one of their divisions. I think it's Howard Division. And during that time, with that division, he published more than 40 New York Times bestsellers, and he made publishing history by selling more than 6 million copies of the Duck Dynasty series. Wouldn't you know that would be the one that would, that's America. And he also happens to be just a super, super nice guy. I've got him right here. I'm going to call him in Nashville. Sorry, I talked for 15 minutes. Will you guys stick with me just a little bit longer today? I don't want to short time on Jonathan. Whoa, look at this. Look, everybody.
Hi.
Love it, Jonathan. Gee, what are you reading? Anything interesting?
Oh, absolutely. I was just reading about drinking before you take a bath, and I was wondering, is it okay to drink wine before you take a bath?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm safe then.
But let me ask you this. As a man, does reading, because I've gotten a whole bunch of comments lately and emails even from men that I do business with, and they've said, you know what, just because you're our client, whatever, we read the book. And they said, we now understand our wives so much better. We understand what they're going through, why it's happening, not that it's just something that they're dealing with, that it's a natural function of aging. And we also they said, and we also understand the angst that they sometimes have about it. And I was so happy to hear that. I mean, obviously, in my forward or introduction, whatever I called it, I said that I was dedicating it to all the women out there that I've met and that are here on my Facebook family. But I love the idea that men would read this book. I'd like to send it to every dad for Father's Day.
Well, there you go. So the moral to that story is buy the book and give it to your father or to your husband for Father's Day.
Yeah, I'm serious though, because I just really, I would love it to be, what do they call it? Mandatory reading for every man.
They won't have excuses that way.
Yeah, they would really, really, I think, understand us so much more. Here, I want to see, some people are already telling me their favorite books. Yeager, an autobiography of Chuck Yeager. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Dr. Susan Jeffers. I love that one. Plain Honest Men by Richard Beeman. You can tell this is a guy, by the way. Grant by Ron Chernow, and Making Movies by Sidney Lumet. Oh, great. All right, we'll be getting more of them in. So I just want to ask, my book came out March 10th.
Yes.
And March 11th, they basically closed the world down. I mean, I'm not even sure anybody had a chance to walk into a bookstore. It was so cool that all these bookstores were so excited about the book that they gave me front of the store.
Yes.
So that's great. So everyone can go and look in the window and they can see.
They're probably still there gathering dust right now.
And now that the book is still right there at the front of the store. But what happened to all the other books like behind me that were supposed to come out late March, April, May, June?
Well, a lot of them have been postponed or not canceled, but mostly postponed.
Yeah.
And the challenge is twofold. This year is a presidential election year.
Oh, yeah.
And in the fall of a presidential election, the book sales tank. I mean, they just precipitously drop because there's no room for publicity. You having been on Good Morning America,
I know it well.
During a political year, it's almost all politics all the time.
You never open a movie or release a book right around November 4th.
Right around a presidential election. And so some of them have been pushed back a year even because were pushed out a year. Now, the good news is you released your book and you're doing something on a day-to-day basis to make a difference. And what you're doing now is exactly what you need to be doing because it gives people an opportunity to do something while they're shut in and locked up, because it's like we're all going stir crazy, and you doing what you're doing and talking about your book and other books in this case is very important and making a difference, because some organizations are still shipping books, some bookstores are still shipping books, and so people do have a chance to get access to your book.
Well, I've been doing, as you know, a ton of podcasts. I mean, I've got a lot of them coming up. I had been booked to do all these author events at bookstores. They're all now coming back to me, and we're now doing them virtually.
Yes.
I'm going to ask people in my office to post them, in that upcoming events part on Facebook, to post some of them, because now people who might not have been at Wellesley Books in Boston or one of the other places that I was scheduled to be, they could now go on to the virtual tour and hear me talk.
Absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I applaud bookstores for thinking on their feet and coming up with ways to do events like this. Zoom, who knew about Zoom before all of this? And now Zoom is the answer to every question we have, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've learned so much and become so much technically, except I haven't figured out how to do this yet, but I'm going to soon, on how to get a split screen. I think Facebook just made it easier when they switched everything over, like just in the last week or so. They made it hard for me to get on one day, but I think they're going to make it easier. Local bookstores, I love bookstores. Oh my gosh, when I go into a bookstore, I'm like a book addict. Like I should join. I am Joan Lunden, and I am a book addict. I come out with bags of books, but they've been struggling. And now with everything closing down, I worry for them, because I love bookstores. I don't want them to close, but some of them might not make it with all of this going on, because people might get so used to ordering them online that they stop, going to the store.
It is a challenge, and I would encourage your readers, your fans, to call their local bookstores and just say, hey, what book would you recommend for me to read? And just order it from them and see either they can go by and pick it up curbside or have them mail it to them, just to try to give them some business. A lot of us are doing that with our restaurants. I even read an article this morning where a friend of mine, author Karen Kingsbury, has her favorite bookstore locally, and she told her readers to pre-order her next book through her local bookstore, just try to send them some business, and it really brought them back to life. So there's some creative things that we can do, and there's something else I want to tell your fans and readers about.
You're going to get to my next question. Tell us about bookshop.org.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about Bookshop, but I want your readers to do something, or your fans to do something. I want them to take a selfie of themselves with a book in front of their face like it's a mask.
Okay.
All right. And then do the hashtag books are essential. Hashtag books are essential.
Books are essential. Somebody in my office, will you put that up in the comments stream? And by the way, it wouldn't hurt if it was my book that you had.
Exactly.
Up over your nose, like a mask.
It's a mask over your face. Exactly. And that way it'll bring attention to books and bookstores through social media. But yeah, let me tell you about this really neat organization company that has just launched actually right before all the shutdown, and they're called bookshop.org. And they are becoming an alternative to Amazon.com. Now, we all use Amazon. It is what it is, but they are literally choking the life out of independent bookstores. And bookshop.org is a company that you can now order through them online, and they will fulfill the books, but they will then give a good percentage of the profits to local bookstores to help local bookstores. And so you can go to bookshop.org, look into it, ask them about some things, place an order, and support your local bookstores through that organization. And hopefully they can start replacing Amazon as the go-to source for books.
That would be great. I will tell you that I when I just put it into a Google search, it didn't come up right away. But when I put www.bookshop, is that what it is? Bookshop?
Yes.
Bookshop.org into up on the URL, then it brought it right up. And you can even, there's a little place you can tap on stores, and a map in the United States comes up, and if you put in your zip code, it will show. Now, the closest one to me was I saw Anderson's books, and that's in New Rochelle. So that was pretty close to me. But I'm going to literally call Diane's Books, which is right here in Greenwich, and it's a great store, and say, you ought to get in touch with this, because I'd rather be buying from them. A lot of people are saying that they are still getting their books through their bookstore, through their local bookstore, with curbside pickup. Here's Marie or Marty. Column, I love hard-covered books, not online books. But wait a second, Marty, you can just go on and order a hard-covered book. You can all get hard-covered books. You can get hard-covered books like mine that are autographed. You can get them at joanlundenbook.com. That's Premier Books. You can also get them from Barnes & Noble. I autographed like 1,000 books for Barnes & Noble. I think they still have some. And several people are saying, how do you get a signed copy of your book? Here's Sherry Pollard. I do curbside pickup at the Barnes & Noble near me. And now people are also starting. Everybody says, I worry for bookstores. I never will stop going to bookstores. I love finding new ones when I'm traveling. Someone says here, I've been getting mine at curbside pickup, but I really like walking through the store. And of course, there's always, in local stores, the people that work there, you can ask them and they introduce you to books that you never would have known about. Or if you say, I'm buying a book for, like I go to Diane's Books here in Greenwich and I'll say, I'm buying a book for my 15 or my 16-year-old daughter, what would they like? They know immediately what that age girl is buying, right?
Yeah, that's really what's special about independent bookstores.
Yeah.
Is they still know what's going on, and they can give you good advice about good books that will likely be books that you'll enjoy, as opposed to just, this customer bought this book. Well, that doesn't mean anything to you, but having a conversation with someone who really loves books and those books makes all the difference.
So have there been some really huge books out lately that we should know about this year?
A lot of them are being postponed. The biggest book I know of that's been out this year is this book. So I just, I want to make sure everybody knows about this and buys this book. But no, I mean, yeah, there are still some big books. There's an interesting one that came out last week that I forget the name of it, but it's about the Kennedys, and it's another interesting book about the Kennedys, which I think are a fascinating read because of the family history and everything about them. But I was thinking about some books to recommend to your audience as I was preparing for this call, and I've come up with 3 books, if you wouldn't mind me sharing.
Okay.
I thought about a way that, while we're sequestered, we want to stay safe, we want to be inspired, and we want to have fun, and we want to laugh. And so the first one, and I sent them to you. You should be getting them today, Joan.
Okay.
The first one about being safe is The Secret to Cybersecurity.
Oh, I'm dying to read that.
Yeah,
that's
you should get
Augenbaum?
that book today. It is written by a former FBI agent who was over cybersecurity. And now that we're all spending a lot of time on our computers. It's important for us to have some safeguards to protect ourselves and our children or grandchildren when it comes to online usage of your computer and just protecting yourself. So this would be one book that I would recommend. The author's name is Scott Augenbaum. But it's The Secret to Cybersecurity.
And as you know, we're booking him here. He's going to be with us one day. And he says that when he was there at the FBI over seeing the cyber security division, that on almost every case that it could have been never happened.
4 things, 4 things that people could do to protect themselves.
4 simple steps to make sure that you don't get hacked and nothing will happen to you and you don't get your identity stolen. I don't know what the 4 simple steps are. I'm getting the book. So did you publish the book?
I did.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then if you want to be inspired, this is a really, really neat story. It's called Paying It Backward.
Oh, okay.
And we talked about this one
Yep.
as well. His name is Tony March. He's an African-American gentleman who is now pretty much retired, but he's still very active. Lived in poverty. I'll keep holding it up. He lived in poverty in Florida, in Daytona, and had no love from his mother. He never knew his biological father. He had some teachers that paid attention to him, and he became a good student. Long story short, he went to Howard University, got his engineering degree, went to work for General Motors, and found out that they were looking for minority dealers. He became a minority dealer, and at the peak of his career, had over 25 car dealerships. He was there in Hartford, Connecticut, as a matter of fact, too, not far from you. But the entire time that he was building his empire, he would go back to schools and middle schools and talk to children about how education could get them out of poverty. And he would go serve in homeless shelters to feed men and women who had no food, because as a child, he would go dumpster dive to find something to eat. And he would spend 20 hours a week or more as he was working and doing this and volunteering. And now his fortune goes back to helping the homeless and helping children and education departments or school departments to help kids understand that education can get them out of poverty.
I think
so
when I think about this book, it kind of reminds me of that book, Educated. If you read that one, and
that's a big one right now.
Oh yeah, and that's a big one. But I love this guy's story. And by the way, we're booking him right here. I can't wait, because whenever I book somebody, I look at I go to YouTube, I see them, I see what they're like on camera, I see if they're a good guest, and I Google them, and I can't wait to meet him. All right, what's your third?
Very humble man. And the third one is a book that just came out last week by Peggy Rowe, the mother of Mike Rowe from Great Jobs. It is really funny. It's entitled About Your Father and Other Celebrities I've Known. And she is Irma Bombeck of our generation. She really is. Oh, really? Cute. She's
That's
funny.
Awesome.
Yes. And her book came out last week, and it made the New York Times. Yay. So she'll be a New York Times bestselling author again herself. And anyway, cute, funny, a great Mother's Day, Father's Day gift as well. Although I would recommend this one first, and then you can get this one afterwards. But anyway, really,
I want to have her on.
Stories.
I think we would all really love to meet her.
I'll get her on. I'll get you connected with her. Absolutely. She is absolutely hilarious. I saw Mike's Facebook page last night. I was telling Elise this a little while ago. He called her on Facebook to let her know that she made the New York Times. And he was telling her to use her crooked fingers to start writing another book. And she showed her crooked fingers by flipping him the bird. I mean, she's really funny.
All right, we got to talk to this lady, right?
We got to talk to this
lady. Okay, so we're gonna
really something.
We're gonna definitely. I'm just like scrolling up to other people. These are great recommendations. Here's somebody, Vicky Bradham. Local bookstores are fulfilling orders, like the Tattered Cover in Denver. You guys, I love the Tattered Cover. And every time I've had a book come out, I've always gone out there to Denver, always had a huge book signing there, planned to go there. But when this whole thing dies down and it's safe again, I want to go back there. There are just certain bookstores like R.J. Julia's up in Madison, Connecticut. There's certain bookstores that just do fantastic, wonderful book signings. And I love going.
And Padgett, the author, owns a bookstore in Nashville called Parnassus, which is a great independent bookstore.
All right. So other book recommendations. Who's your favorite author? And you don't have to say Joan Lunden. I mean, I'm talking about is it John Grisham? Is it?
Well, Brad Thor is my favorite fiction author. I love Brad. He's become a friend over the years. But I love, he's my go-to summer read when I'm on vacation to just unplug. I'll tell you the most influential book, my favorite book, I think, is actually a book that has become a musical and a film favorite, and that is Les Miserables.
Oh.
That's my favorite book. It was given to me as a gift when I grew up in France, And when I finished the 5th grade in French schools, my teacher gave me that book as a
oh my God,
graduation present, and it was a life changer for me. To understand what forgiveness is all about because of that book. It was a life changer for me. It really was, and that's still my favorite story of all time.
Well, I love Brad Thor because I love anything that has to do with national security and planned attacks against America and the CIA and the special forces and everything. Save the day. I also love Vince Flynn. I will admit that I have a crush on Mitch Rapp. Mitch Rapp is the central character that always saves the day in Vince Flynn's book. And I also like, I don't know if you know about Matthew Betley, and he's kind of a newcomer to this world of writing about. He was in the special forces. I don't know what all he was in. He told me that he'd tell me, but he'd have to kill me. But he had Overwatch and Oath of Honor and Rules of War. And I love all of those books. And I made my own little list, okay?
Yeah, I would say your readers would rather know what you like rather than me. I'm just a boring old guy.
You are not a boring old guy at all. So I made my list. So I love beautifully, beautifully written books like Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. And of course, it still stays right up there at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. I'm really into page turners that just keep giving you little bits of clues. And then you finally get the jaw-dropping ending. People like Harlan Coben. I think this is his current one, but I think I was introduced to Harlan with Tell No One. I think that's still my favorite, or The Silent Patient, when we talk about jaw-dropping endings. And that's, I think, still up there right at the top, of the New York Times. I mean, I love John Grisham. One of my favorite books of all times is Sycamore Row. Oh,
his sister's a friend of mine.
Oh, really? Sycamore Row is so great. Oh, here's other people saying, I like Mitch Rapp books too. Yeah. And David Balducci. I mean, I've just read so many of his books. They're all good, like Dan Brown or anything by Michael Connelly. Lee Child, as you can imagine, if I'm into all those Brad Thor things. I was given a book one time by somebody who was working in my office, and it was called Mystic River. And it was by Dennis Lehane. And after reading Mystic River, which is one of my all-time favorite books, if you haven't read it, just order it, read it. And I then read, of course, everything else by Dennis Lehane. They're all good, but still, Mystic River.
The movie was good. It wasn't as good as the book, but the movie Mystic River was
right. It was made in.
Good movie.
I don't know if I ever saw the movie, but I loved the book. Are you familiar with a guy named Greg Iles?
So I've heard of him. Yes, I've read him.
I don't know how somebody recommended Greg Iles, and he lives in, I forget which kind of southern state, and he writes always about this city that he lives in, and you can actually go there. You can go to his website and you can go there and take it's kind of like a book author tour. You stay in the hotel that he writes about and you go to all the places. And I've been dying to do that one day. I've read the whole series. And it is a series, and I think there's about 8 books. He writes other ones too, but there's this one, Mississippi Burning or something, and start with number 1. That's one of these series you need to start at the beginning. I also love Daniel Silva and Tim Tigner, but one of my most favorite books of all time is a book called Defending Jacob. I don't know if you ever read it. It's by William Landay. Defending Jacob is one of those books that leaves you afterwards saying, oh my God, what would I have done as a parent? Harlan Coben sometimes does that at the end of the book. He leaves you with this nagging question that just stays with you for days, like, wow, what would I have done? What length would I have gone to save my child? So I love historical nonfiction. I don't even know. I wouldn't even be able to count or tell you all the books that I've read in this category. The Alice Network. Oh. The Nightingale, of course, by Kristen Hanna, it remains on the top list. Sarah's Key. Oh my gosh, if women haven't read Sarah's Key, that book will stay with you emotionally for a long time. The Secret Keeper, Lilac Girls, Before We Were Yours, Saving Sophie. These are all books that not only are they fabulous books by writers who build characters that make you feel like you know them, and but you also learn about the history. You learn, oh, here are other people saying I loved Defending Jacob also, Paula Galato. Oh, and Maggie Roth saying Leanne Moriarty, is that how you say it? The Husband's Secret. Absolutely loved that book. Daniel Steele, I haven't been a big Daniel Steele reader, but yes, great. James Rollins, another fan of James Rollins. Aaron Levy. How about any female writers? Well, yes, like almost all of these books I'm listing now were written by women. Not that all the nonfictions that take you to Europe during World War II and after World War II. There is the brothers, the one about the brothers. There's a lot of written by men, the Tattooist of Auschwitz, but a lot of these that I'm listing are all by women. And then I'm not a huge, I'm not that I mean, I've interviewed Stephen King a million times. He lives up in Maine. He has a house up in Maine, but I'm just not a huge reader of Stephen King except for one book. And you talked about John F. Kennedy. You know the book I'm going to say. Oh, absolutely. 11/22/63. If you're never going to read a Stephen King book because you think they're all the thrillers, the dogs are going to come out and kill you or whatever, read that one because that's really not like, but you have to allow yourself to suspend reality. Like you must, as a reader, allow yourself to like go there and suspend reality. And I really like that one. And by the way, the whole part of the Greg Iles book all has to do with the assassination of John F. Kennedy and a theory behind it. And that's all I'm going to say to you. You'll have to read it to be able to. Oh, here's someone, Paula Galato is saying, An American Marriage. I've had that one recommended to me, but I haven't read it. However, I have also just downloaded American Dirt. I heard it's up there on the list, but I haven't read it yet. But I've had it recommended to me. So like people are definitely giving their and it says I need to get your 2 recent books. So the recent book, of course, is Why Did I Come Into This Room, and the other one is Had I Known. You'll recognize it because it has me bald on it. Had I Known. And I wrote that book with Laura Morton, my good friend and often co-author who got me together with Jonathan. And I will be indebted to her forever for that. So you know that Laura and I are already conspiring on the next book, right?
Yeah.
We brought you in on that. So ask people to post book reviews today. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what do you want my friends to do?
Go to Amazon and post a review. Also barnesandnoble.com and post 5-star reviews. That's 5 stars, 5-star reviews of this book on Amazon. That always helps, and it gets more visibility that way too, from what I hear. But
it moves you up.
Yeah, well, it gives it somehow or another gets you going into their algorithms to where your book becomes more visible, from what I understand.
Oh, that's cool.
So go and give 5-star reviews to the book and talk about how funny it is, how funny Joan is, how helpful it is, and it will help and encourage other people to buy the book.
All right. So I'm seeing a lot of the rest of you post your favorite authors and books online. I love that. So everybody, if you, when I go off, if you go to the comments, you're going to see I get so many when I do this and I ask you guys to give me your recommendations. I literally, with a list, I go through them, I write them. Oh, someone just said, Eric Larson. Ooh, yes. And who's the one? Stig Larson? Who's the one that passed away and someone took over for him?
Oh, that was actually Vince Flynn.
Oh yeah, and I like the new guy writes just as well.
Yes,
right?
Just like him.
I think so too. So, because he has his voice and he understood his passion. All right, I've gone way over, you guys. It's 1:44. I don't know if I've ever gone over this much, but as you can tell, I'm passionate about books and reading, and I'm passionate about this guy, Jonathan Merkh, and I look forward to doing.
Joan. We love you.
I look forward to doing many, many more books with you. And you, from the minute I met with you and I told you I had this idea, and you believed in me and supported me. And what's that hashtag again? Because I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the book thing. What's the hashtag?
Hashtag books are essential.
Hashtag books are essential. I'll do one. You guys do one right after you go on Amazon, and it'll take you 2 minutes and give it a review.
Yes.
All right. Love y'all. You're awesome. Love having you here. And you'll check out the comments and get a whole lot of really good new ideas for reading. All right. It's coming up Mother's Day. I told these guys I checked that one off their list. You're welcome. All right. Bye. All right. I went way over. I hope I didn't make your lunch late or something. We'll be back here tomorrow. And we're going to be back here tomorrow with Michael Bolton, you guys. Tell everybody you know that who likes Michael Bolton that he's going to be here. Share it. We're going to put up a thing about it, and then share it on what's going to happen. Like if you share it with all those people and they share it, like we could let a lot of people know, because he's a terrific guy, and I think you'll enjoy him. All right, that's it for today. Have a good day. Namaste, everybody.